There is my, can we also see my screen?
Yeah, we are seeing it.
Yes, your screen is visible.
All right. So today we are supposed to do macros, precedents, and dependents, what-if analysis, Power Query, and regression and forecasting. But for the course of this class, Power Query is a very broad topic on its own. So we'll be moving it to next class and we'll do the less complex ones before the complex ones. I hope that's fine. So for today, we'll be doing macros, precedents, and dependents. More like tracing dependencies and workbook protection, slicers, and timelines. We'll be doing macros, precedents, and dependents, tracing, slicers, and timelines. And if time permits, we'll be doing workbook sharing and protection. So that will be the, I think I will just have to edit this outline. So for subsequent ones, there will not be changes or any other thing. So for today, we'll start with macros. Let's just dive with what do we use? Macros. Macros. Pardon me. Let me try to connect this again. Okay, so when I say macros, what does any one of us have an maybe what do I call it now? Maybe an hint on what macros are or what macro is, so we get familiar before it starts.
Uh, Actually, I don't know if it's relating, but in a general term, macros can be something like big and cumbersome sizes, sha.
Mm, okay. I think that would be based on English term. Yeah. For Excel, thank you so much for that actually. So for Excel now, macros are like recorded steps. Macros are like they're more like an advanced template, but this one has to be on a sheet level. I think we are already familiar with sheets, differences between sheet and workbooks. I will repeat it again. I said sheets are embedded in a workbook, and a workbook comprises of sheets. Just like we have our 10 in 1 notebook, or what is it called now? Yeah, 10 in 1 notebooks. And we have a section like this one, notebook 1, notebook 2, notebook 3. Excel is the notebook, the whole book. Excel is the whole book. And for each of the sections, like section 1, section 2, section 3, like that, they are workbooks. So in each of the workbooks, we have pages like page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Excel is the whole book. Each section is a workbook, and each workbook is made up of multiple sheets. Yeah, so and we already said the template is like a recorded pattern that is to be replicated on another worksheet. Exactly. So now macros are recorded steps. Let's say I want to repeat a particular task a number of times within a workbook. I can make use of macros. I will come again. Like I want to make use of a recorded step. Like, okay, I want to bold this part. I want to bold this part. I want to increase this size, this particular cell size. I want to expand their width. I want to, change the data type. I want to, what else can I do? Maybe apply a kind of number formatting. I can record it so that I would replicate instead of going through that same process again. I can easily record and replicate on another worksheet. So yeah, macros are a series of steps or instructions that we give to Excel to execute by using a single command or an action. A single command or an action. So now, yeah, let's go straight. I don't know. I'm trying to look at which data set would make sense for this. Let me see. Well, okay, let me use this one. Here now, I have 4 sheets. This one is empty. I have 3 sheets. I have my transactions. I have my transaction worksheet. I have my customers worksheet, and I have my product worksheet. Okay, now so I would edit this to remove some stuff so I can do them again. See. I hope this stuff does not hang. Oh, I'm waiting for that. Oh. I don't know the problem with this thing. But hopefully, it would not take much of our time today. Hopefully, I just pray. While we are waiting for that, how do we navigate? How do we navigate, or how do we activate a macro? It is very simple. It is very simple. I can just go to my view tab. Once I click on my view tab, I would see a pop-up. All right, so let's continue. I would see a place for macros. Yeah, let me see. We'll get back to that. I want to, scatter this thing to make it um very unclear. Yes, let me use that word. So I would use my macros to clean it up, to spacing, to give them spaces, and I will replicate them on other worksheets. So yeah, let me also do that for products. Okay, now so we have this. Let's say as this thing is, I would have to do a bit of, not like some kind of thick editing like that. I would just have to like give them space and make some headers, give it space and the likes. But now I want to replicate it for customer sheet, and I want to also replicate it for product sheet. Instead of me, doing it here, coming here also doing the same thing, coming here also doing the same thing, I can just do it on this sheet and apply my shortcut and replicate it on this other 2 sheets. So how do I do it? To activate my macros, like I said, we go to our view tab. We see macros. We can view macros, we can record macros. But then if I don't have anything recorded, I can, let me see. There's nothing here. So I'll just have to record a macro. So how do I record? Once I go to my view tab, I would see macro, select macro, and I would select record macros. So now one thing that would help us in using macros is using something that is very relatable, something you can easily remember, or more like a shortcut you can easily remember. Because we have macro name now, I can just save it as macro. Then I come down, a shortcut key that is something I can use to apply it on other sheets I want to. It will not be advisable for me to use Control C. It will not be advisable for me to use Control A. It will not be advisable for me to use any of Excel's function. It will not be advisable for me to use any of Excel's shortcuts like Control P, Control B, Control what again? Control C, Control V, like that. I can just use alphabets that are not a shortcut in Excel. Let me say, if I use Control P now and I go to the next, and I go to the sheet I want to apply it on, and I'm entering Control P, you might just think I want to print, or I do Control C. It will copy whatever I select. It will not perform what I want it to, because C has already been assigned to a function in Excel. So I can just use like Control maybe Control R, yes. But one thing is we have to remember whatever we use, or we just have to go back, repeat the steps, and you know. So it will be easier for me to use something I can easily remember than me using um a random key and having to go back to it to do it all over again. So for this particular one, I'm using Control R. Then I click on OK. Okay, store macro in. I can store it in this workbook. I can store it in a new workbook or a personal macro. We'll be using this workbook. Yeah, so I click OK. Now it has started recording. You know, I said from view tab to macros to record macros. Yeah, so it has started recording. Whatever I do now, it will be recorded. So what do I do first of all? I select this, I select all of it. What am I doing? Okay, sorry. I select all of it. Then I spacing them out. How? For easy selection, just double click on this box here. I don't know if it is a box or what do I call it? This here, it will highlight everything. This double click highlighted everything, and I'll just wait till this arrow turns to this plus with arrows on each side. Then I double click on it too. So it gave me this, it spaced them out for me. Then I want to make them align in the middle parts. So I click this, it has recorded that step for me. Then I want to, let's say, increase the size of this row 1 as my headers and make them bold. I've boldened it. Then I want to increase the size, let's say to 18. 18 is good, yeah. Then maybe I want to give them a color and say this color, yeah. Then a color fill, change the color to like ash and pink will work. Okay. I'm not a designer, so pardon my color combinations. So now, yeah, I want to replicate this. Okay, let me say this is enough. Okay, yeah, I would activate my filter. Yeah, great. Now, these same steps, spacing them out, increasing the row 1 size, giving it a color and a color fill, and applying my filter. Those are 5 steps I have. It is recorded. Now I want to apply it on another worksheet. What would I do? I would have to stop my recording. So how do I stop my recording? Same way I activated it, go to view, go to macros, and I will stop recording. That's simple. But I would have to remember I used control. Was it how I used or G? I think it was how. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, I used control R. So for this now, I want to do the same thing on this thing. There are 2 ways I can do it. I can either use my shortcuts. I will just select anywhere on the data range and I would apply my shortcut control R. Did you see that? Very simple, right? Yeah, it is very simple. But there is one limitation macro has. Macro is not editable and it cannot be undone. Yeah, it is not editable and it cannot be undone. I cannot control Z it. You can control Z. So it does not work because it is macro. Now, okay, what other step can I use apart from using the shortcuts? Let's go to products and use that. Now we'll see that this thing is already gave me the same format as this. This is more like I am using a template in another workbook. Like, let's say I saved this as a template. All I have to do, open the workbook I want to work on, using that same template. What am I saying? Open the template and do whatever I want to do. As simple as that. But this one, I think this one is a bit easier or better than that. But everyone has their own advantage and disadvantage. The disadvantage of this one is that it cannot be edited. Meanwhile, we can edit a template. You can do whatever you want to do with the templates. So now, what other steps do I use? Now, yeah, I use control R. Yeah, let's see. What do I do? I go to my view tab. Same way I activated my macros in the first place. I come down to macros. But this one now, I am not trying to record a macro. That is why it's giving me this, because it already depicts that I have a macro already. So I can select from the list of macros I have. But for here, we have just one macro. What do? I select it, come to run, then that's run. That's simple. Now, it spaced it out for me, but it didn't space enough. For this one, I'll just have to come by myself. Like I said, the only limitation this thing has is that it is not editable. Yeah, so I have that. It has been spaced out. My filter button has been activated. The color fill and the color alphabet color has been duplicated, and the size also. So that is that for macros. Macros is that simple. What else did I say we'll be doing? Okay. Macros, precedence, and dependence, rating, slicer, and timelines. Okay, now for precedence and dependence. When we say precedence and when we say dependence, what do we understand? This one is more like its English term. Yeah, more like its English term. So precedent dependence. When we say something depends on this one, and when we say something is a precedent of this, what do we mean? What do we understand? Let's hear our views. I'm waiting to hear from us, please. Please, I'm waiting to hear from us. We are stalling for time. Okay, since we are not responding, I would not want to believe I'm alone on the call, though. But regardless of our time, let's continue. So when we say tracing dependencies is the topic, and the types of dependencies we have are precedents and dependents. Precedents, what do you mean by precedents? Precedents means some things depend on them. Now, irrespective of Excel, when we say something is a precedent, we can say, what do we use now? Let's say a parent and the children's relationship. Yeah, a parent and their children relationship. We can say children depend on their parents. Yeah, so children are dependent of the parents, while a parent is the precedent of the children. It will not be complicated. It is not that complicated. So let's not complicate ourselves. It's just English. Yeah. So children depends on their parents. Same way a cell that is made up of formulas depend on the parent cell. Yeah, on the parent cell. Let's say I have 20 in cell A1, I have 5 in cell B1. Then my C1 will be equal to A1 plus B1. And yeah, so I would say my cell C1 depends on A1 and B1. I'll say my cell A1, sorry, C1 depends on A1 and B1. And I would say cell A1 is a precedent of C1. Let's practical like that. Let's say name, sex, age. Sorry, question. Second, third, I have maybe two, for first term he had let's say like 75%. Second term he had 89%. And for third term, he or she had 78%. Okay. For another person, we have Phillips is 20, then he had 88% first term, 56. You have 97. 90% for second term, and let's say 72% for third term. And we have another person who is by Tayo, a female, and 20 of age. For first term, he had 81%. Second term, maybe 88%. Next term, 90%. We had 1%. Anyway, Jeff you 22, 78, 75, and 80. Yeah. Now we want to do like the accumulative grade points. So now I would say, how do they do this thing? I really can't remember, but let's try. Equal to this, okay. How do we do it? Give me products. Okay, let's do it like this. It's yes times. Is it times or plus?
I think it's plus. So.
Plus, right? Yes, thank you. It's this one. Sorry. All divided by 2. Then I would have to format this as a percentage. Yes, so meaning so now this one, this cell, sorry. Now, what do we need? This one now, it depends on these 3 cells. This G2 depends on this G2, E2, F2. If I should make a change here, it would affect if I should make a change on the parent cells, let's say this one's okay, let me write them. These ones are the parent cells. Let's give them a blue fill. Oh, okay. Let's give them a blue fill. And this one is the resulting cell or the children cell, whatever. Okay, yes. So we know that this one depends on these 3, but any of these 3 is a precedent of this. So how do we trace them? How do we trace them? Like I am talking to a team of maybe stakeholders and I am trying to explain a particular information to them, how I derived a particular field or a particular record. And for easy assimilation now, I want them to easily understand and they should be able to tell what I mean just by looking at my screen. What do I do? Please, in case this meeting goes off, let's just rejoin. Thank you so much. How do I do it? Now, we already said dependents are the ones that rely on something, while precedents are a contributing factor to something. Yes, that's the word. Precedents are a contributing factor to something, while dependents are those that rely on others, are those that rely on one thing or another. For this one, we are doing with cells. So a precedent here is the contributing factor to the child cell, while the child cell is a dependent on the parent cell. For our information, the parent cell are the ones flagged, while the resultant cell, children cell, whatever, is the one in light, whatever it is. So how do I trace dependence? How do I trace precedence? Very simple. Now we are dealing with formulas, right? So I go to my formula bar. Yeah, formula bar. Now I want to trace precedence. This is it. Sorry. Under my formula, I have this tab for formula auditing. So I can say trace dependence. Let's see if it will give us here. It gives us an explanation. So here we can say shows arrows that indicate which cells affect the value of the currently selected cells. Now I want to show precedence. I would have to click on the cell with formulas so I can know what cell that particular cell depends on. I hope I'm not mistaken. I'm not mistaken. So it shows arrows that indicate which cells affect the value of the currently selected cell. Use Control plus to navigate to precedence of the selected cells. Let's click on this. Tracing precedence. So this arrow now is telling me that, see this dot here, this dot here, this dot here equals to this, meaning these three are precedents of this particular one. You know, I can, without, let me remove the arrow now. You see, without those arrows, I can easily say this cell is just a combination of this one and this one. Let's give another one. Let's say, what do we use? Let's say an inspo. Okay, I can just say it is equal to this plus this, then divided by 2. Format it as a percentage here. Good. Now, how do I know the particular one I am supposed to record? How do I know the particular one I'm supposed to record? So if I click on this now to show me the precedent like that now, it will show me that it is just this one, the one that has the dots, only that this one relies on. It's really the one that has the dot, irrespective of how, you know, I might have, let me say I might have maybe something here and another thing here, and I have the summation or whatever here. So if I say, let me see, let me do this way. This one equal to this. How do we concat? Use concat. Concat this by this. Yes. So that if I want to trace what gave me this, I'll just come here, trace dependence. You see, so it can strike through a number of cells. It can strike through a number of cells. What would make me identify it is the dots on each one. You see, there's a dot here, there is no dot here because nothing, I am not referencing anything here. And there's a dot here because I am referencing something here. There are no dots here because I am not referencing anything there. You know, there are times I would have stuffs here, I would have records there, but since I am not referencing them, it is only showing, it has to strike through it so that it would tell me, okay, this one and this one is a precedent of this one. And this one is the resulting effect of these two. I hope I am clear. Please, if I am not clear, let us draw me back. Thank you. So this one now is a resulting factor of F2 and B2, D2. Now, I want to see for this one. Which one and which one gave me this 86%? I will just trace dependence. Now it's telling me that this one, and this one give me this one. This one is the resulting product of this, and this. Yes. So before I can trace precedence, I would have to select the one that has the formulas. Before I can trace precedence, I would have to select the ones that have the formulas. Now, we already traced precedence. Now let's trace dependence. Let's check what dependence has for us. Trace dependence, it shows arrows that indicate which cells are affected by the value of the currently selected cells. Which cells are affected by the value of the currently selected cells? Tracing dependence. Now, you would say that cells without formula has to be selected. So it would show the cells that depend on them. Now, how do I do that? The one that does not have formula. I click on it and I come here, choose trace dependence. Meaning this one, sorry, this resulting, wait, let me come that. Oh, Jesus, what did I do? Kai. Wait, I was working on a different one. Oh my God. Okay, I did not prove it. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Let me just remove the arrows and do it again. I think we did for this. No, we did for this. Trace precedence. We did for this. Trace precedence. And we did for this. Trace precedence. So now let's do for this. No, let's try this. Trace dependence. The trace dependence command found no formulas that refer to the active cell. Okay, so if I want to trace dependence now, I have to click on the cell that does not have the formula. That is what it is trying to tell me. The cell that does not have the formula is what I would click on to trace dependencies, to trace dependence. So it means this one, the resulting cell depends on this. Now, if I just want to say, let me just say, okay, for this one, let's use this. So now this one is to give me this. Then I would click my trace dependence, meaning, you see, it's tried through this arrow now, meaning this one self, this particular G3 now also depends on, it also depends on B3. So meaning this one and this one, they both depend on, let me use the cell name now, sorry. This cell G3, because of this arrow now, this arrow that is there, it tells me that this cell also depends on where we are coming from. You know, I clicked this, then I did trace dependence, then it gave us this arrow here. Yeah. So now this arrow is meaning that this particular cell you skipped, no, this particular cell now, and this one too that has the arrow, it both depends on where you are coming from. It both depends on D3. That is D3 now, is a precedent of G3 and H3. H3 and G3 depends on D3. Not only that, only D3 is the only precedence here, but at least it is the contributing factor to cell G3 and cell H3. I hope you are not mistaken. Because if there's any question, kindly draw me back now before we proceed. Thank you. So that is that on precedent and dependence. For me to trace precedence, I would have to click on the resulting cell, that is the cell with the formulas, so that it can easily trace the cells that contribute to it. But then if I want to trace dependence, I would have to click on the cell that does not have a formula. So it would show me the resulting cell. So that is that on macros and precedent and dependence. We said macros are a recorded step to replicate